People pleasing can be such a mess. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how breaking free from people pleasing is the first step to taking back your power and reclaiming it. And you're wondering, what's wrong with pleasing people? You just want to make people happy. But there is a current here that I want to touch up on that I think is worth talking about. So hi, I'm Heather. I'm glad you're here. Thank you to all my new subscribers and my returning subscribers. You guys are amazing. I love you. And I'm here to awaken you to your own power so that you can live the life of your dreams and have success everywhere in your life and your business. So let's talk about this people pleasing thing as I get comfortable. Let's talk about it. So I'm going to go with my experience here. Now, people pleasing will come from childhood. It is coming from an environment where you feel that you're not being validated for who you are. So you're going to take on another person's views. You're going to do everything you can to make them happy. You're going to make sure all of their needs are met. And this all basically happens before your own needs are met. So you're going to do everything you can to keep this person happy. And which, when we look at the childhood, it stems from being safe and surviving. Because a lot of times this comes from situations where things are a little turbulent. Let's just use that word. So with this, we change ourselves to please another and we hide the fact of what we're actually feeling. It's not safe for us. We feel it isn't safe for us to be who we authentically are. And when we do this, it keeps us away from our true feelings and our true desires. And eventually we kind of forget about them. You know, have you noticed that? You kind of forget like what you actually really want and you're too afraid to speak up. So it keeps you away from your desires of your heart. It keeps you away from the things that are going on in your body. Sometimes we don't even recognize when we're getting sick that things feel weird. So it keeps us away and it's all external. And of course, when we talk about conditioning, everything for validation, we have been taught to seek outside validation. So if we feel or we've been taught or we've been shown or believe that we are not worthy as we are, the way we are, flaws everything, the good, the bad, the whatever, then we will shut that part down and we will seek outside validation and we will only do our best to show the best parts. And this is kind of how people pleasing, in my view, in my experience, works. You're trying to fit in, you're trying to stay with a group of people or a person for the validation, yes, and then also you want them in your lives so they feel like you belong somewhere. You don't want to be rejected, so you're going to do everything you can to please them and keep them happy at the expense of yourself. So now this, when we look at this, it's going to stop us in our tracks because we're not going to show up fully knowing exactly who we are in our relationship. We won't have goals that are suited to us and what we truly want. And it's going to show up in our freaking business. We're not going to be present in our business. We're not going to be able to bring all of us, all of ourselves to our business. Because in a spiritual business, a soul-aligned business, we need to be all of us. Your entire being, if that makes more sense. So I wanted to give you 6 ways that we can learn to stop people pleasing. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. The first one is recognize that you're doing it and how are you doing it. I noticed in my husband sometimes he will go above and beyond just to please another person. It's like, but his angle is that he's trying to prove that he's, X, Y, and Z. So my question to you is, why are you doing this? Is it your goal to prove that you're worthy to somebody else? Think about that and how that impacts your life, that you're hanging on somebody else's opinion of you. Just think about that one for a minute. So now the next thing here too that I have is, when we are people pleasers, and we've learned this from our childhood to survive, we anticipate another person's expectations, or no, sorry, that's not the right word. We anticipate what they need next. So in the hopes that we will make them happy, and then they will say something to validate us. But what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 from my experience is, when you give something to somebody, in that instance, when you're anticipating somebody else's need, you're giving it with the expectation that it's going to come back to you and you're going to receive whatever it is that you need. And what happens there is, eventually you resent it and you will explode. And then the other person will be like, whoa, what happened here? Like, I don't understand. So that's the downside to the people pleasing with this undertone that we're talking about here, that really does impact everything. I mean, I don't know if you can feel that, the level of impact that this has on yourself, and then the relationships that you have and in your business as well. And it can play out little, small, big, it doesn't matter, right? There's always like a little element there where we try to please. And let's say it's somebody coming into your business, and you just keep overgiving, and it's not enough, and they keep taking. So this is kind of how it plays out. The third thing I want to say about this is that your validation does not come from anybody. What matters here is your opinion of yourself. It doesn't matter what people think of you. If you're in this cycle, trust my words when I say to you that when you realize that you validate yourself, you and your opinion matter, that people will find you that agree with how you feel about yourself. So that means that, let's say you have a friend, I don't know, let's say you have a friend named Annie, and you've been people pleasing with her, and it's just getting out of control, and you just can't stop. You can't say no to her, and it's really interfering in your life, and you're not really clear on what you want out of your life, like you're really confused about it. If you started saying no to her, she's going to be upset. Guaranteed, she'll be upset. And that's okay. Just, if you feel in your body that it's a yes to do whatever it is with her, then do it. But if it's a no, then say it. And if she falls away, that's okay, because guess what? There's another friend around the corner, and Susie's just dying to meet you, and she can't wait to get to know you, and she loves you for who you are. So just remember that. Trust me on this one. So the next thing I have here is, say no. When someone asks you to do something, or what they want something from you, and even if it's a tiny little ask, and if you're brave, say no when it's a tiny ask, so that when all these little asks that come up, like let's say you want to go little, whatever I said her name wants you to go for coffee, and you say no, that's a small ask. And eventually you will build your confidence up, so that when there's a big ask that comes up, and you're able to say no, and you mean it, and that person knows it, because you know you've done enough work on yourself that you know what's right for you. You know what feels good and what doesn't feel good. So practice saying no. Boundaries, I can't say it enough. Boundaries are super, super important. And it's a boundary for yourself too, to stop yourself from doing that. Just stop. Now the next thing I have on here, now that we've gone through all those points and we've kind of gotten an idea of what this is all about, find a way to find your authentic expression. Who are you? Does this mean you have to journal or paint or meditate? Do whatever it takes to find who you are, who got left back there in childhood. Go back there and claim your inner child and discover who she is. I guarantee you, she's like magnificent in there, and she will learn that it's safe to say no. It is safe to say no. It is safe to set a boundary. It is safe to not have to people please in anticipation that they're going to give you something in return. It's perfect. It's perfectly fine. So the other thing I had here is when you begin to, when you have that feeling that you need to please this person, stop yourself and say, why do I feel like I need to please this person? Whether that's your client, your husband, your friend, your mother, whatever it takes. Like the mother might be a hard one to do, but you can certainly do it with yourself. Ask yourself, why are you doing this? And say, no, I'm not doing this. When something's happening and they want you to do something, no. You have the strength within you to be able to say no. You can do this. I have faith in you. So when we do all of this and we come back to our authentic self, that means that we're able to show up more openly, more fully. We can say no. It's just, I don't even know what else to say. Like even when, a perfect example is like here, there's trolls. Now, if there's comments, am I going to do anything about it? Well, I'm certainly not going to get involved in it. I'm definitely just going to either block it. I'm not going to accept them. There's a boundary there. No trolls. You're gone. The first hint of it. So this is such an undercurrent that's prevalent in our society these days that it's okay. People think it's a good thing to forget your own needs and forget about yourself and just take care of other people. And we have to bring that back. We have to remember that we are number one. You are number one. You're the one that's in charge of your life, not anybody else. You take control. You take charge of you. And learn to say no, discover your authentic self, and the people-pleasing will subside a little bit. It'll probably get you out of sticky situations that you're in, especially like with clients, your husband, sisters, whatever. It'll help get you out of that. And I want to just add too, on the other aspect of this, is that when you give, you're not giving because you're looking for an expectation. When you get from the state that we were talking about, the fear state, and you come into a more heart open, authentic space, when you have the urge to give to somebody, you're giving it with an open heart, and you're just going to let that flow out. And whether they accept it, whether they do anything with it, whether they compliment you, whether they validate you, doesn't matter. You're giving from an overflowing state, and it's just the love pouring out of you. And when you approach your business, your husband, all your relationships from that overflowing state of love, that's where miracles happen. You can give and give and give. And the beautiful thing is that you receive. You receive with that much love back. And that's magic. That is living in your power when you can just give from such an overflowing source and receive back from an overflowing source. There's no expectations. There's just open co-creation, and it's beautiful. So I'm going to end that there. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you gleaned a few insights. I'd love to hear your comments and takeaways. And once again, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again.